broadcasting and streaming live all across America. This is HomeTalkUSA with Michael King, where we will discuss topics pertaining to your home with industry-leading experts. Michael King is a licensed general contractor with more than 30 years of experience in home improvements and the author of Contracting with the King. Join us this hour for our segment Invent America with your co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton. Discover what's next in the home improvement industry and explore new products and innovations. Or if you have that next great big idea, learn what it takes to bring your invention to the world. As Michael King and Rita Crompton talk to America's inventors and innovators. Remember, the America of tomorrow is being invented today. We invite you to visit us at HomeTalkUSA.com, one of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, we proudly present Invent America from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country, Home Talk USA, with your host, the Cajun contractor, Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Hey, welcome America. That's right, to Home Talk USA. This is the Invent America show, part of the Home Talk USA family, right here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. Don't forget, we are streaming live all across the country. I also want to mention that we have a couple affiliates that are now joining our family. And down in Northern Louisiana, that's right, we have KMLB 540 AM, 105.7 FM in Monroe, Louisiana, is now joining our family. They were on and been an original affiliate of ours for quite some time, but they're going to continue with the Home Talk USA radio program, Invent America. And as you just found out in Vermont, we have WBTN last week, 1370 AM in Bennington, Vermont. And I'm also excited to let you know that their FM station, 96.5, is now taking our show. So it's going to cover that whole southeastern part of Vermont all the way into New York State. So I'm excited for that. So, hey, she's my co-host. She's on the line right now. And Miss Rita Crompton, Inventor Lady. How you doing, Miss Rita?
Hey, I enjoy being your Cajun co-host.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, once you get that yai going, then you're in. You know,
it'll never be as good as yours, but I've been working on it.
We're gonna have them. We're gonna have them T-shirts made. Yai! But
I like that.
I want to tell you, we had Greg Owens on from Sherrill Manufacturer, our last segment, and he is really a U.S. patriot, man. I didn't realize how his company is embedded in the fabric of our country down there. But to take a failing clothes manufacturing company, realistically, you have to be out of your mind to do that. And to switch it over to U.S. made, wow, that is quite a commitment, needless to say, Rita.
It is. And I've been really impressed with these guys. You know, I met Greg because we had gone to ASD Market Week, met so many wonderful people and people who've participated in the show. But it was Made in USA, you know, literally the name of the company that we met. And then they said, you know, we think that, you know, Greg's voice is going to be a better voice for representing Made in America, Made in USA. And you know, since we've started talking about it, Michael, it has just exploded into, you know, people that, you know, are participating with us now. We've got a group in California that we're going to get on the radio, and they do all of the packaging for all these products, and all of the packaging parts are made in the USA. Our Cajun secret sauce, Mr. Mike, is getting them out there with the right information so that, you know, we can get those new products onto the shelf.
Well, that's amazing. You put a little mayonnaise, a little ketchup, a little mustard, put a little Tony Chachere's seasoned sauce, a little Tabasco in there. You'd be shocked what you can come up with. But the thing I'm trying to make is, you're right. It's you know, we call it the secret sauce, but it's not really a secret sauce. It's just common sense to know
exactly
that if we buy American and it's an American manufacturer that's producing that product, no matter what it is, the quality of the life in that community is going to be beyond school systems. As I said, infrastructure, law enforcement, and even the politicians have to be accountable to this. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I do. And, I don't talk to a single inventor that doesn't say first out the door, they want to be able to make it in the US. They want to, I get some that'll say, well, I want to set up a factory and make them here in the US. It's like, no, you don't need to set up a factory. There are plenty of factories. And all we need to do is find one with an address in the USA and make it here.
Yeah, and I have no problem of getting the raw materials all over the world. That's
exactly.
I have no problem with that. And that's what I wanted to let my audience know, because there's going to be raw materials you're not going to be able to get here in the United States. They just don't produce it. But that's not what I point. Well, why can't it be assembled here? You would not allow them to build it. That's mind-boggling when you have, other countries that have labor forces. They don't build anything. They have an instruction man with a hot glue gun, probably, and trying to put it together. And that's what I don't understand.
I know. And, there's so many people that have gotten away from going to the technical schools, and now they're getting back to it again. We've got a gentleman he's going to be on today. This is my second guest, and they are doing work in the New England area to get to, for the schools, for inventing classes, making products, all of those kinds of things. And a lot of the maker spaces have brought things back to the US. So there's a lot of things coming back because we have found that, with technology, we can do it better, and we can fight that, it's cheaper made in China. Not necessarily, not anymore, because the quality control is so bad that by the time you throw out all the junk, now you are, you're being able to fight the prices.
I'm going to make a statement, and I'm going to call him Sam W. Okay. I met Mr. Sam W. twice, and we know we're talking about that big box store because I don't want to get sued.
Right.
But I met him twice. And when he opened up his big box store here in my community. And as you could call that big W store, he got his empire on Made in the USA. You remember? It was all the flags and Made in the USA. And he refused to sell product that was not made in the United States. And then when Mr. Sam W. passed away, then unfortunately, the other Sam W's decided that price was going to mean more than quality, and unfortunately, I think they're paying the piper now, because a lot of their products are not up to U.S. standards or U.S. They just don't last, But at the end of the day, I see it slowly starting to happen again, where they're realizing that. Let's produce here in the United States. Okay.
Absolutely. I know I've had inventors that have wanted to do it here. They couldn't do it in the US. I've had inventors that started overseas and brought it back. So everybody is really focused on bringing back to made in the US, whether it's pharmaceuticals or toys or dog products. Everybody is really looking at the USA first. And that's where we want to be. We want to participate in that. So when we put people in touch with Greg or with Dawn with Made in USA, so they've got that platform just like Amazon, but everything's got to be made in USA. Half of the inventors that we took to ASD Market Week, they were made in the USA.
Yes. Well, I'm excited, my girl. But we got a great show lined up when we take a break. I don't know how much time I got. I couldn't see my screen, but I'm sure Matthew's going to tell me, let's see it. Oh, yeah, I got 1 minute left. I love it when he holds up that card. You know what I mean? But Rita, tell us in about a minute who we have.
All right. So our first guest is a starting inventor. He's just trying to get things really teed up to the next point to launch, Harold Collier. And then we've got George Peters out of the New England.
He's been on the show before.
He has never been on the show before.
Oh,
he went and filled out one of those magic little forms called the Ninja form that says, do you want to be on the show? And it dropped into my email box and I called him.
Wow.
So if anybody's out there and they want to be on the show, that's how we do it. Fill out that Ninja form. It drops right into my email box, and you never know. I'll be giving you a call. And then we do have George Peters on because he was an award winner for Made in the USA. And his product is actually in the White House, but we're going to let him tell you that. Don't say I spilled the beans.
Maybe I can. I don't think that I don't think I can serve it over there. I don't think they're going to give me a security clearance, but I don't know. Well, I'll try.
He's been there when President Trump was there, and they've actually got his product in the White House kitchen.
Wow. And then we're going to have to take a short break, but then we're going to have Greg Owens with Sherrill Manufacturing, who's our guest on Home Talk, right?
Exactly. So
hold on. We got to go. Hold on.
We're going to pay some bills. Yeah.
We got to pay some bills. Up against the clock. This is Home Talk USA. Listening to the Invent America part of our show. I am the Cajun man from the Bayou Land, the originator. Not to duplicate, please don't accept no substitution. Along with Rita Crompton, Inventor Lady, we both be right back. Yay!
And now, back to Invent America from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country. Home Talk USA with your host, the Cajun contractor Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Yay! Welcome back. This is Home Talk USA right here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. This is the Invent America part of our show. And if you are just joining us, we are streaming live on the World Wide Web at HomeTalkUSA.com. Rita, who is our first guest?
Well, our first guest is Harold Collier. All right. Harold is from the Minneapolis area. He loves to ride motorcycles, fly kites, and actually he knows how to drive a semi, which back in my day, I hauled gravel and asphalt. So I understand the big truck mentality. And so, Harold, thank you so much for being on with us today. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
So tell our listeners what you invented.
Well, I reinvented the computer keyboard ergonomic. I couldn't stand the other ones, and I tried them all too.
All righty. That sounds quite interesting. What do you feel? And I had sent you this question because we're talking about, that moment of, aha, success, the sauce for success. What was probably your most magical moment of the learning process where you said, I've got it?
The patent.
So your patent is issued?
Yes, utility and design.
Well, congratulations. Good for you. That is a milestone. That is a milestone. So where are you in the process now? What is your next step?
Well, I talk to Brian Freed a lot, but I belong to another club, and there's a big electronic show in Silicon Valley, July 26th, 28th, where worldwide retailers and electronics makers are going to be there.
All right.
So that's my next spot. You can either sell the patent or license it out.
There's also the annual Consumer Electronics Show that takes place in Las Vegas. I think that's the one's usually in January. So
yeah, I missed that one.
Well, there's always another one coming up. And so your goal then is to be able to license your intellectual property. So for our listeners who don't know what that means, because they don't always, everybody assumes that you're going to be, going into business and manufacturing yourself. But the other alternative for inventors is licensing is the word we use, but it's like renting your intellectual property, your patent. Intellectual property is patents, trademarks, copyrights, and secret sauces, like trade secrets, the Coca-Cola recipe, for instance. But for most inventors, it's the patent. And like you said, you have a utility patent, which we also refer to as a non-provisional, and a design patent, which is the way something looks. And so when you rent out your patent, you're giving someone else the right to make it, sell it, and send you a check.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So for a lot of inventors, you have the aha moment where you come up with, oh, yeah, this is going to make it. We're going to take this to market. But you don't necessarily want to start manufacturing because holy cow, that's a whole new price tag. And not every inventor is good at marketing.
Yeah, the price tag really was way out for starting a factory, because when I did the math, looked up the machinery, figured out all the contracting out, it totaled out at just over $1 million.
Yeah. And the other big price tag that a lot of inventors don't realize a licensee will pick up is that if you've got a really cool product and someone infringes on you, the licensee will pay to fight it.
Yes, got a good law firm that did my patent.
Yeah. And so, well, it's going to be their law firm that pays it. And so for a lot of inventors, that's millions of dollars that, the inventor doesn't have to fight it. And we had an inventor years ago that who licensed their patent to a company that was providing materials to Home Depot and Lowe's. And one of those other big box stores knocked it off. And it was the licensee that went after it and shut him down.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And so her products are still sold in all of the Home Depots and Lowe's in North America. And that other big box store still hasn't been able to get their hands on it.
That's interesting, but that happens a lot too, though.
It does. It does. And so, generally they know that the inventor can't afford to chase it and that the licensee is the one that's going to pay because they've put, the $500,000 into manufacturing and marketing. So they want to make sure that they're protecting their investment, which in turn protects yours.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And for a lot of inventors, that is a secret sauce recipe is that, they want to be able to go ahead and get their intellectual property, out there. They want to get it into the marketplace, but they want somebody else to do the heavy lifting.
Actually, honestly, I keep toying around with the idea. And if it can total out right, if somebody licenses it, would be to start a smaller company and make boards custom, like make them out of stainless steel or aircraft aluminum or something and have them special ordered.
And that's possible. I've seen different agreements have different unique qualities to them. I've seen it where, an inventor will buy back some of the parts and turn them into what they want to be able to turn it into their specialty. I've seen inventors go on as, additional salesmen, go on as collaborators in the next steps of, product development. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that inventors can be involved with some of these different companies. And so it really does get you where you can participate on the fun stuff and let the other guys do the heavy lifting is the way we always look at it. It's the one way that inventors frequently get to actually go to the bank and make a deposit as opposed to going to the bank to take money out. When you go into, manufacturing, you're generally able to simply take out money because, everything costs. And that when you are getting that royalty, you get to go and make a deposit.
Yeah. And, really, a lot of it isn't really about money. Really, honestly, I could care less about a whole lot of money. I just want enough to be comfortable. I could see a lot of it going to St. Jude's and Shriners.
If you're really interested in doing some of that, I know they're putting together different programs for schools to help students understand the inventing process and building prototypes. And you may find, some of those that you're really interested in lending a hand and being able to go in and, talk to kids and tell them about your process. I used to be on the, go to the invention convention at St. Anne's fourth grade school and talk to them about the inventing process. And it was so much fun because those kids looked forward to being in the fourth grade so they could do the invention convention. And the older kids looked forward to going back and seeing what the younger ones had invented the next year around. So there's a lot more schools getting involved in this process.
Mine does too, because I'm going back to Mankato State University to pick up my bachelor's in computer science. I already have an associate's degree.
Well, good for you. Harold, thanks so much for being on with us today. And we want to thank our sponsors, Kicker Design, for helping inventors get to that next step and start manufacturing, and also Product Quick Start with Noah McNeely. I've had a few inventors say they think he walks on water. So anyway, we'll see. But it is wonderful to be able to have our inventors contacting us through the Inventors Roundtable and filling out the ninja form for wanting to be on the radio. Thanks so much, everyone. Stick with us because we have got George Peters coming up, inventor of Kettle Pizza. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us this afternoon. And our next guest is my dear friend, George Peters. I have known George for over a decade, And we have spent a lot of time driving around New England together and talking to different inventors. So it is a wonderful pleasure, George, to have you with us today.
Rita, thank you very much. And yes, it's been at least a decade, and we'll just leave it at that length of time right now.
There you go. So one of the things that's really exciting for us is that we are bringing on a third segment of Home Talk USA to be Made in America, Made in USA. And so as Kettle Pizza was made in USA and actually won the Massachusetts, what was back in 2019 of Made in USA products. Yeah, and you got to go to the White House.
We got selected to represent Massachusetts as a Made in America product. It was a wonderful event. It was part of then President Trump's push to have the federal government buy more products made in America. So it was very special. It was an event like you will remember forever. That's how special it was to us. It meant a lot to us to be part of, the 49 other representatives from around the country. And some of those products and companies have been around, more than 100 years, some of them. So we were in a very special company.
Well, I think that's just wonderful. And you are president of Invent New England. So tell our listeners, because, we always say, go to a local meeting. If you want to be able to get good answers to your questions about the next steps, go to a local meeting. And we do the Inventor Roundtable virtual, but you do them in person.
We do. We're very blessed to have a location at the Innovation Hub at the University of Massachusetts Extension Campus in Haverhill, Mass. When we turned Invent New England, Rita, into New England Invents into a nonprofit, we knew that was the way to go to really put our stamp on being a company that people could count on, that we were going to do business the right way. And all of the people that we have helped other inventors go by that standards of best practices in dealing with people on their inventor journey. So I think we're one of the few in the country that has an actual permanent location for our office at New England Invents.
All right. The question for you today is, when was the aha moment that you were going to be able to manufacture in the U.S.? What was your secret sauce?
Well, I have to tell you, Al Contarino, who had the original idea for Kettle Pizza and Kettle Pizza inserts to turn charcoal and gas grills into pizza ovens. Al was from a manufacturing background, and he felt that what we wanted to do with Kettle Pizza was see how it would be to source all our materials and all our work being done in the United States and especially Massachusetts. And he felt very strongly about that. I agreed. And every part of the Kettle Pizza and packaging, except for one part that we couldn't find in the United States, came from either Massachusetts, New England, or other vendors around the United States. We touched probably 50 other companies easily with sourcing different parts and materials from them. So we know we helped put some other people to work also. And that was a very important part of having product, made in America. We were picked by Walmart a few years after that to come to Bentonville. And again, as their push to buy more made in America products, that was another, peak moment for us to go down to Bentonville and be selected by Walmart as a made in America product also.
Excellent. Well, and that was something that Michael King and I talked about in our first segment, was that, when you go out and look, you may have to get a part from another country. But if you get a part or multiple parts and you have them then put together, when everything is then actually made in the U.S., all right, some of the parts may not be, but you still get then that satisfaction of knowing that you put some people to work, you participated in the economy, and that, you get some satisfaction out of knowing it was made in the USA.
And we often, when we speak about this, I was able to visit just about every supplier that we had materials coming from to see how they work, see the kind of conditions that they were at the factories, some larger companies, some smaller companies. And I have to tell you, the pride in workmanship in dealing with the company on your own shores for getting back to you timely, to correcting a possible mistake where you're talking to the owner of the company or the second or third generation owners of the company, and their determination to get it right and to get you the materials you need. It was much, much easier than having to deal with maybe an entity halfway around the world who wasn't very responsive after they shipped you the first things, and you had to really pray if they were correct or not when you opened the packages. We never had to worry about that with suppliers in the US.
Yeah, no kidding. And the quality is better. I mean, one of my inventors that, was manufacturing in China, the quality was so bad that it didn't matter whether it was cheaper because he had so much junk. And the ones that he made here in the US, the pricing was almost the same because he didn't have the junk that was coming over. And the failure rate was so high coming from overseas, and especially some of those little electronic stuff. So what advice do you have for our listeners?
It's possible to make your product in the US. It might not be possible to get every single part from a supplier in the US, but having it assembled here, having it packaged here and shipped here will save you money in the long run. And if you run into a problem with a supply issue or quality issue, you're likely talking to that owner of that company to get it squared away right away.
Yeah, it's amazing how often I hear that from inventors. They want to start out with made in the USA. And I give them a lot of credit for, trying to fight that. And then sometimes they can't, but they never give up. They go out there with something and they're looking for it. And even though they might start getting a short run done someplace, they look to come back. And we appreciate that. One of the things that we look at is, for licensing, is a lot of times the licensee, they've got their processes set up overseas already. And for the inventors who license, they really, kind of give up that option because the licensee is going to make it wherever they've got then their best results for getting a product into the marketplace. And so we understand the challenge for some inventors. It's about, can they get it out there, the quality of it being able to get out there. And then how do they manage that? It's challenging. I mean, that it is a challenging process to get from I have an idea to the marketplace.
Rita, you've known me quite a while, and I can tell you there's parts of my heart and soul all over the United States with what you just said. And but it can be done. And I applaud many new inventors wanting to do that. It might end up that you start it here and you get the proof of concept done, but you then might need some help from other professionals to really get your product out there. I do encourage people to strongly look at licensing. You can start your product here, get the quality made of it here, and then look for a good partner that will continue that quality of workmanship, even if it has to be made overseas. But my first choice is still having things made in the US.
So where is your product now? Where's Kettle Pizza? Where can people find it?
Kettle Pizza right now, you can go to kettlepizza.com to buy it online. We license the IP to our steel partners in New Hampshire. So just one state over, they continue to make it to this day. And we've sold Kettle Pizza to people in more than 70 countries around the world.
Excellent. Excellent. That's wonderful. And I'm sure that, it's a good story to be able to share with folks. And thank you so much for being on with us today. We appreciate it very much. You always have good insight and good stories to tell. And anybody out there in that New England, Vermont area, get in touch with George. If you want to find him, guess what? I've got his phone number and his email, and I'm happy to send it out there. You lucky devil. All right, everyone, stick with us. We have got our industry expert coming on to talk to us. And Greg not only is our industry expert today, but he is going to be taking over in the next few weeks that third hour of Made in the USA. So we are so pleased to have him. I want to thank our sponsors of the show, that is Kicker Design and Product Quick Start. We are very grateful that when we have an inventor who says, I need some help, that we can send them off to Addison Shelton at Kicker Design. And we've also got Noah McNeely. They each have kind of different specialties. So I send both of them out, and you can talk to either one to find out which one makes the most sense for you. So hang tight, everybody. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for being with us for the last segment of Invent America. And we do Invent America because America invents. Always have, always will. And now we are bringing on a third hour of Home Talk USA with Greg Owens. And we're going to be talking only and all about made in the USA. So, Greg, thanks for being on today as our industry expert, because we are talking about that secret sauce. I got the title from you. Thank you very much. Tell our listeners what it is you do and how you came up with the secret sauce.
Well, my name is Greg Owens, and we have a business located in central New York in the woods. And we are the last and only manufacturers of stainless steel flatware or silverware in the United States. We started back in 2005, and we're still going strong 19 years later.
Well, congratulations. Okay. So, what we're talking about and moving forward with a lot of excitement is focusing on made in USA. So what's your secret sauce? How did you come up with the formula that allowed you to manufacture in the USA when so many can't?
Well, the first time we tried starting our business and running it, we failed because we were trying to compete directly with Chinese factories and sell to a brand who would then mark it up and sell to a department store that would then mark it up again. And a lot of people don't realize this, but what you pay $100 for at a department store, and I used to use Macy's as the example, they have about a 70 to 80% markup on things that you buy in there. So that means whatever you pay them $100 for, they're buying it for, let's say, $30. And the brand, let's say it was our previous company, Oneida, they're going to have a 50% markup. So that means they paid the factory overseas $15. Well, our cost, because we buy American steel and we pay American living wages to our employees, is, let's pick a number, $50. So we couldn't sell directly to Oneida. We couldn't sell directly to the stores because they wouldn't pay our price. But we could sell directly to the American consumer. So one day, our brand had been out there. We didn't really know what was going on, but it's how to get the word out about Liberty Tabletop, and how's everybody going to find us? So I went on this thing called Google AdWords, where you could buy a keyword phrase such as flatware or silverware made in the USA, made in America, and I pulled $20 out of my wallet and I threw it on the table and I said, Matt, we're going to try this. We're going to bid $1 a click on anyone on searching for flatware made in the USA. And guess how many clicks we got? 20 clicks. And we got 2 orders totaling a little over $400, which made it a pretty good return on our investment.
Yeah.
And, we've become a little bit more sophisticated than pulling out $20 and throwing it on the table. We probably spend $40,000 a month on Google search, Facebook, and other social media type advertising. We've actually forayed into television, but it all started with simply figuring out that if we can put a made in America product in front of somebody who's looking for it, odds are they're going to buy it from us. And
absolutely.
Yep.
And that's, we have all had to learn how to shift from, TV to social media. So much goes on out there. So many more people are paying attention. The platforms are constantly changing, and updoing technology is running a race, really. And we're running right behind it to figure out what's going on next. And as long as we're paying attention, it does give us a chance to get our products out there.
Yeah. And there's a lot more to it, obviously, than just buying one keyword search. We then forayed into coming up with very unique, what we call affinity patterns. Our first one And everybody thinks we're nuts. I thought the guys who came up with the idea were nuts, was putting skulls on flatware. They said, Greg, Matt, our flatware is so boring. We need to go after the younger crowd. We need to go after the people who love Harley Davidson motorcycles and zombie movies. That was the one that kind of blew my mind. But tattoos, we started with a small production run, sold out in pre-sales, created a second run, sold out of the second run, and we were on our third run before we even shipped the first piece. So that sort of led us down the road where we now have a Woodstock pattern that's, for the sort of the hippie generation.
Yep.
I love it. I think it looks great. We came out with a honeybee pattern, American Earth, American Garden. We've got 9 different patterns. And that took us to the next level of sort of our secret sauce. And that was tapping into the passion and the emotion of people who OMG must have was what the reactions were on Facebook.
Social media is social media. It's really about finding then how do they make it in the USA? What are the materials? Who can do it? Because not every inventor can set up a manufacturing place, but there are people that they can go to and say, oh, that's kind of the same material that we use. Let's give it a try. And so we are always grateful when we can help American inventors learn the next step. What are the options? That's what they have to be able to weigh.
Yeah, and the first step in making something in America is understanding what made in USA really means. And it's not just an obscure thing that you can put on a box. There are actual rules that go behind this. So all or substantially all of what you're selling, if you're going to say it's made in the USA, has to be made in America. The steel that we use in our flatware all has to be melted and manufactured in the United States. And if you import parts and put them on there, there's another category you can get into. And I'm not necessarily adverse to that because there are certain things you can't find. And I'd like to see people incubate new businesses and make the effort with the idea of eventually having it all made here. But
Greg, we've got to run because we've got to go pay some bills. Thank you so much for being on with us today. We have a lot to learn and we are looking forward to learning it from you. Thank you so much. Everyone. Thanks for being with us today. If you want to be on the radio, if you believe that, you're an inventor or someone who is, you've got a product, please join us. Fill out the Ninja form. It drops right into my email box and I'll be giving you a call. It's always nice to meet inventors from all over the country. If you have questions, join us at the Inventor Roundtable meetings. They are twice a month. And one of these days, we're going to get Greg on to talk to all of our members across the country and answer questions about being able to get something made in the USA. So Inventors Roundtable is out there. The Ninja forms are out there on invent-america.com. That's where you can find us. And you can also find all of our streaming episodes that we've loaded. We are on, I think, number, holy cow, 77 at this point. So we are building up. And by the end of the year, we will have episode 100 for all of you inventors out there who want to go and say, oh, she's talking about this today, but I want something about, getting a patent done or getting a service provider. They're all there. And all you have to do is go back and look for the title and then join us on Invent America every week. Thanks so much, everyone, for being with us today and have a wonderful weekend.